Hello, welcome to the lecture on engineering thermodynamics. At the end of this lecture, students will be able to define thermodynamics, distinguish between classical thermodynamics and statistical thermodynamics, define thermodynamic system and control volume, differentiate between pure substance and working substance. In the first part of the video, I will be discussing these two outcomes. In the second part of the video, I'll be discussing the other two outcomes. First question is, what is thermodynamics? To understand the meaning of the word thermodynamics, let us consider an example. In your earlier classes, you must have all studied the working of a four-stroke engine. Here, I have shown the animation of a four-stroke engine. Here I have suction manifold, the inlet valve, exhaust manifold, exhaust valve, the cylinder, piston, connecting rod, crank system. Through the inlet valve, an air-fuel mixture enters into the engine cylinder. The fuel here is gasoline. Fuel and air mixture prepared outside is entering here. During the suction stroke, the air-fuel mixture is sucked into the engine cylinder. During the compression stroke, it is compressed. At the end of the compression stroke, a spark is passed, which ignites the air-fuel mixture. Due to the combustion of air-fuel mixture, thermal energy gets released. In the beginning, we have in the fuel the chemical energy. Due to combustion, that chemical energy will be converted into thermal energy. Let us call this thermal energy as Q. You can see once the spark is passed, the combustion of the air-fuel mixture begins and the heat gets released. And here the gas that is formed will have high temperature as well as high pressure. This high pressure, high temperature gas exerts a force on the piston. Because of that, it will move from top dead center towards the bottom dead center and making the crank rotate. Thus, reciprocating motion of the piston is converted into a rotary motion over here. Now, in this figure, you can see here Q is the input. Of course, that is responsible for increasing the pressure and temperature of the gas. This will exert a force on the piston, and that gets the reciprocating motion gets converted to rotary motion. From here, I can connect it to any other device, and I can make this device move forward or backward. That means using this device, I can obtain the work. Work is nothing but force into distance traveled. Suppose I connect through a belt to some kind of a weight. It can pull the weight forward, and thus the weight and the distance traveled can give you work. So in simple words, what I would like to say, there is an input, there is an output. Here the input is heat and the output is work. In between, of course, the gas will have high pressure, high temperature, and all these things and even there will be change in volume. So the subject thermodynamics explains the interaction, heat interaction and the work interaction in a system. Correct. Thermodynamics is a subject which discusses about conversion of heat into work and the work into heat. So let us further understand with some more examples. Here I have shown internal combustion engine. I have already explained how exactly the chemical energy gets converted into heat and heat into work. Let us consider another important system, that is a jet engine. If you look at the jet engines are used for propulsion of aircrafts. In this jet engine, if you see, this is the air intake section. This is what we call it as the rotary compressor. This is the combustion chamber. This is the turbine. You call it as a gas turbine. Then there is nozzle over here. As this starts rotating, air enters into the compressor. As it passes through the various stages of compressor, the air gets compressed and its pressure increases. Then it enters into the combustion chamber where we inject the fuel and burn the fuel here. So because of that, the gas gets formed, and this gas will have high pressure because of the compression, and also will have high temperature because of the combustion of the fuel. Now this high pressure, high temperature gas expands in the turbine, producing work, mechanical work. So as this starts rotating, the compressor as well as the turbine are mounted on the same shaft. The compressor will also start rotating. Then the gas, after passing through the turbine, passes through the nozzle. Still it will be at high pressure. As it passes through the nozzle, it exits with a high velocity. So the mass of gas and the velocity of the gas will give you the momentum. And the rate of change of momentum will create a thrust. So opposite, for every action, there should be reaction. You will get a force in this direction. That is propulsion force. Force and the distance traveled by the aircraft will give you, say, work. So this also produces work. Again, if you look at this, here there is heat, there is work. So we talk about the heat and work interactions here also. Now similarly, you consider a power plant. There are different types of power plant. Here I am discussing a steam power plant. In a steam power plant, we can use different fuels. It can be natural gas, it can be oil, it can be coal. When we burn this, mixing with air, thermal energy gets released. This heat, when we transfer to the water, water boils and then gets converted into steam. And this steam, when we expand in the steam turbine, it will produce mechanical work. And again, if you couple it to a generator, that will produce electrical work, electric power you get. So this can be used again to produce drive any mechanical device. Here also what is happening, there is heat here, there is mechanical work here, there is again electric power, electric work that is available. In all these systems, something you can consider heat as an input and work as an output. Let us look at this device, a refrigerator, which you use in your house. So the purpose of refrigerator is to keep the temperature of these articles lower than atmospheric temperature. To keep this temperature low, we have to continuously remove heat. So for that we use a refrigeration circuit. You look at, this is the refrigeration circuit. It has components or subsystems, you can call it as like compressor, then you have condenser, then you have a throttle valve, then you have an evaporator. The fluid which is being circulated in this tube, you can call it as a refrigerant. To begin with, the refrigerant, which is at low pressure, also at low temperature, enters into this compressor. This compressor is driven by a motor, electric motor. So this will be connected to electric line so that the electric energy converts into mechanical work. That mechanical work is imparted to this compressor. Now, because of the compression, the temperature as well as the pressure of the refrigerant will increase. Then as it passes through the condenser, since we are continuously cooling, it will become high temperature, high pressure liquid. Now, this high pressure, high temperature liquid, we pass through a throttling device so that the temperature will decrease, pressure will also decrease, it will become a liquid. You see, it is already a liquid. It's a low temperature, low pressure liquid. Now, as it passes through this, means in this area, all these things are, let us say, are here in this box, then it will start extracting the heat from all these articles. And as it extracts the heat, again the liquid will start vaporizing. So what we are doing here, we are removing the heat, we are throwing the heat out here, and we are continuously giving work here. So in this case, the input is work and output is either extraction of heat or pumping heat. So in this case, the input you can consider as a work, output you can consider as heat. So here also there is an interaction of heat and work. So thus the subject thermodynamics is the branch of physics that deals with heat and work interactions. It can be called as science of energy, entropy and exergy. As we go along, we understand the meaning of energy, entropy and exergy. So we say it is a subject of 3 E's, and it is based on 4 laws of thermodynamics, that is zeroth law, first law, second law and third law of thermodynamics. This explains what exactly the subject thermodynamics is. So most of the times we call the heat engines which produce mechanical work converting thermal energy or heat. So come under this, and they are very much in use as power plants or propelling device or refrigerators, air conditioners, heat pumps and so on. So I hope this will clarify the meaning of the word thermodynamics. Let us look at a brief history of thermodynamics. You must have heard that the industrial revolution, nowadays we are calling it as industry 4, the industry 1 is started with invention of James Watt steam engine. So thus the English engineer Thomas Savery created a steam engine to pump water from mines. That is in 1689. Then Thomas Newcomen, another English engineer, developed an improved version by 1712. James Watt improved it in 1775. He formed an engine building and engineering partnership with manufacturer Matthew Boulton and start manufacturing steam engines. This is started. Subsequently, there are many thermodynamicists who have contributed to the development of the subject thermodynamics. So I will not be going line by line over here. So you can go through these slides and get a feel of the history of thermodynamics. Of course, the most important people are Sadi Carnot, the Mayer, Helmholtz, and all these people who have tremendously contributed for the development of this subject. So this is what and you must have heard about Joule, Kelvin. These are all really pioneers of, you can say, the subject thermodynamics. Max Planck, right? All this, please. I suggest you to go through one line by line. But as we go through the subject, we will be discussing all this topics. There are two approaches to study of thermodynamics. One we call it as macroscopic thermodynamics or classical thermodynamics. Another one we call it as microscopic thermodynamics or statistical thermodynamics. What we mean by macroscopic thermodynamics and microscopic thermodynamics. If you look at this diagram, in macroscopic, we consider the lump of matter. So the property, density, pressure, temperature, all these matter. We disregard the belief that the matter is made up of molecules. In microscopic thermodynamics, we respect that the view that the matter is made up of molecules. Here, the mass of the molecules, their momentum, their energy, these are all very, very important. So this is why we study each and every behavior of every molecule, then statistically aggregate and express their effect. That's why it is called statistical thermodynamics. Here we are considering the lump. We call this as macroscopic thermodynamics. So let us understand in detail. In classical thermodynamics, it is disregarded that the matter is made up of molecules. We don't even think about it. The behavior of the matter can be observed, that's all, and measured experimentally. We don't develop, a theory based on that, to explain the behavior. We observe and measure experimentally our observations are right or not. That's why it's written here, difficult to explain why a system behaves in a particular way, because we are not working from the molecular level here. But in statistical thermodynamics, we consider the matter is made up of molecules. So that means that finally the system behavior depends upon the behavior of the molecules. From the molecules, we can derive the behavior of the matter. So the behavior of matter is based on the behavior of individual molecules, and it is possible to explain why a system behaves in a particular way. So whatever we observe here in macroscopic thermodynamics and we measure experimentally, those things can be definitely validated. The behavior of this matter as observed in class can be predicted, validated using statistical thermodynamics. Here, let us not get into the subject of statistical thermodynamics now. In this course, we'll focus more on macroscopic thermodynamics. So let me stop at this point and continue in the next video. Thank you very much.